Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Joes of all ages, welcome to the main event of the evening. It's Talking Joe with Chief and Chris.
Yo, Joe! Yo, Joe! Joe!
Hey, it's me, the Chief.
You always get me with that beginning bit, it's amazing. And I'm Chris McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80 from the Full Force, and this one.
Yes, again. How are you?
Good. I'm just coming off the back, gross, of the dreaded lurgy, which I think I picked up in New York from some gross New Yorkians, or I got it off Brian Goldner, the CEO of Hasbro, for rubbing him too close when I took a selfie with him. But other than that, I'm doing alright, just lots of sniffles. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I am in a similar vein. I have been ill now, I think, going back to possibly November. Still some ailments. And I think I'm tracing it back.
Crazy.
I think I'm tracing it back to around the time when I stopped being pescatarian and started going meat, fish and dairy free. So I am there is a causal link between going plant-based and me being constantly ill.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's your body is like kind of going, oh, but I need it so much.
Yeah, that's it.
You're in like withdrawal.
Yeah. Made some vegan Yorkshire puddings today though.
Ooh,
they were quite nice.
Lovely stuff.
Also, I need a chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the house is chairless and I'm just standing or sitting on the floor all the time. What I'm saying is in the loft. So on occasion I would use the big bean bag, but that now covers the loft hole, as I think I've previously discussed, to stop light and sound going down through the loft hatch.
Cover your loft hole.
Now I'm sitting on kind of like a milking stool, which I've been using for, the last 9 months, I would say.
To milk yourself or other things?
Well, no, just because, I don't know, there's nothing really else to sit on up in the loft. But I've now decided I want to get a chair, and I've been investigating gaming chairs.
Oh, nice.
I used to have an X-Rocker.
It's retro gaming.
Yeah, that's it. I'm retro gaming, that's what I'm playing. So don't be shaming, cause then you'll be failing. Nintendo power, not in the shower. Sega for the ages, ghouls and ghost rages. Atari Jaguar, how did it get that far? Sony PlayStations gave me sensations. And now I have to go and do some retro gaming. I said retro gaming. And I'm out. But that kind of came about, it was kind of a dual thing, is that I don't want to be cramped up anymore. And also, with my new gaming setup up here, it's kind of... Oh, the other thing is, I'll come back to the chair in a minute. I got the audio extractor, came yesterday.
Right.
So now I can plug... I think we talked about this. If not, it's going to make no sense to anyone except me and you.
We did.
Okay, so I've got this monitor with no speakers. So I plugged this audio extractor thing, tried it out on the Xbox 360. So I took the HDMI straight into this extractor box and then took another HDMI lead out of the extractor into the monitor for video, and then took a RCA cable out of the extractor into a 3.5mm audio jack into a portable speaker, and it worked.
No.
So
I bet it looks like
I can now get sound playing on this monitor.
I bet it looks like you spilled spaghetti all down the back of your...
Oh, it's cable overload. It's like Spaghetti Junction.
Sweet.
But anyway, so I was thinking, I had an old X-Rocker back in the day, many years ago, and I'm thinking about getting a new one. So I did a little bit of research online. There is a few different brands, but X-Rocker seems to be a really good one. But they're pretty pricey. I mean, you're looking at around sort of 90, 100 quid for like a basic model.
Yikes.
And this will be, you can get ones that literally sit on the floor, so they kind of, they've kind of got a rocking motion, but they've got speakers, subwoofer speakers on the sides.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Plug them in, and then you get other ones which are kind of on pedestals, which can obviously lift it off the floor and got a swivel. So
Like a sex swing.
So what I did was I wanted one to record this episode here now. So yesterday I ordered from Argos an X-Rocker Adrenaline, and it said collect from your local Sainsbury's branch because they got an Argos in there tomorrow, which i.e. today. So I thought that's ideal because I'm working from home today. I'll get the text, go and pick it up. The other thing was I found it on eBay for 90 quid, but in Argos it was 160. But what I thought is I'll buy it from Argos for 160, see if it fits through the loft hatch and it's comfortable. If it does, I'll just take it back and order one from eBay.
Nice.
But I got the text at like 5 p.m. today saying it's ready for collection. The problem was I've since then collected the kid from school.
Yeah.
The missus is still at work. I had no opportunity to go and get it, so now I'm going to get it tomorrow.
Yeah, that sucks.
So hopefully, when we record next week, I'll be sitting in a comfy chair doing the jazz, so to speak.
Inside Chief's chair.
Yeah, it's all going to go wrong. I know it right now. It's not going to fit through the loft hatch. I'm going to scrape the leather as I'm pushing it up through, and then I won't be able to take it back. Then I'll spend 160 quid. Anyway, that's probably a story for next week, I imagine.
Yeah, that'll be an Inside Chiefs underpants next
Yeah.
time.
I'm really hungry. You? Well, it's like 3:15 p.m. where you are. So are you hungry? Is that a hunger time for you in general?
It's 3:22. It's time for snacks.
Snack attacker. Chief and Chris, like Han Solo and Chewbacca, are travelling through hyperspace to get some snacks. Snack attacker. I'm going first this week.
Go for it.
I've got a bananito. Let me try that again. Bananito. B-A-N-A-N. I-T-O.
It's bananas. B-A-N-A-N-I-T-O.
Yeah. Basically, I saw these on a shelf in Sainsbury's, and there was loads of them. They're all these banana bars with different things added to them. This says it can't write. It's white writing on a yellow wrapper.
Ooh,
whose idea was that?
That's bad from the marketing team right there.
And I got my contacts in, which makes think I could see better, but it actually makes my eyesight worse. So it says, I'm struggling here. One whole banana. I can't read that word.
One whole banana.
Yeah. One whole banana.
Whole.
I think it says, and some nuts.
Lovely stuff.
Not sure.
So you're getting the can balls there. That's nice.
Let me take a picture of it before I open it up because it's a very small bar.
Well, we've all been there.
Right. Let me go. Open it up. Oh look, it's like, oh dear, what is this? It's like a. I'll take a picture of this as well now. God, what? There's terrible planning on this show. There you go. I'm gonna have a go.
Well, 50% poor planning.
Right, by me, yeah. It's can't taste any banana.
Oh, that's perfect with a banana bar.
Can't really taste any nuts. All I taste is like kind of a stodgy sweetness.
Have you turned into Banana Ito Man yet?
This is 29 Acacia Road, and this is Eric, the schoolboy who leads an amazing double life. For when Eric eats a banana, an amazing transformation occurs. Eric is Banana Man, ever alert for the call to action.
Bananito. Peanut crunch. Not getting any crunch. Nah, not rating that at all. Trouble is, I bought 5 different varieties of this bar, so you're going to be getting more of these next week.
Oh, they're going to be gross. Just burn.
What have you got?
I have gone for something yet again that I have eaten in the past. We actually grabbed a bag of these on the way up during the big move from Missouri to Rhode Island. And they are a bag of Bark Thins snacking chocolate. It sounds like they're for dogs, but they're not.
Wait a minute. Bark Thins? Sounds like they're something off a tree or something off a shark.
Exactly. Well, Thins as in TH, not Thins.
Oh, okay.
So Bark Thins snacking chocolate. I've got the dark chocolate pretzel with sea salt, and I'm telling you now, before I've even opened it and got my gob around it, they are absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of all like, it's not a uniform chocolate size inside there. It's just kind of like as if they've got like a whole bar of it and then just obliterated it in the bag. It's really, really nice. So here we go. Oh yeah, lovely stuff.
I've noticed there is definitely you have a much higher hit rate of success than I do in this segment.
It's because I cheat.
Yeah, you have stuff you've had before, so you know it's good. I'm trialing stuff that's junk. I think we should keep up that trend.
I do. we can switch it up a little bit in the future, but
Tell you what I did have though. I did buy the other day from Marks and Spencer in their free from aisle. They had a dairy-free dark chocolate bar, and I would say it was most definitely the best dairy-free chocolate I've had.
I think there's one called Vigo, which is in I think it's Vigo, something like that, and it's in in Eastern European countries, or it might be German. I can't remember which one, but honestly, it is the most amazing chocolate I've ever had that's vegan.
Right.
Yeah, but this is really nice. This snacking chocolate's incredible. So
yeah. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. There's a massive pregnant pause there, but I think I was going to say I had a
You're
brain
pregnant?
melt. So what I was going to say was, did you see the news?
Yeah.
Because on the other pod I do, Out of Timers, we do unappreciated sequels, and
Man,
the
I
one
hope
we
you talk about this show on the Out Timers as much as you talk about the Out Timers on this show.
the one. No, what I'm saying is I'm linking in now because something I want to talk to you about is that we do unappreciated sequel movies, and we just watched Back to the Future 3.
Right.
But in fact, we recorded that last week, but that won't be out probably a week after this comes out.
Right.
But and Ben's like, oh yeah, it's really good that's a complete trilogy and there's no remake or anything. And literally the next day, he posted me an article saying, oh, Tom Holland is in talks about a remake. So what is that all about?
Amazing.
Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that remake? Or
I have to say, Tom Holland in a kind of visual sense would probably be perfect as a Marty McFly replacement, as a Michael J. Fox replacement. I don't mind really. I mean, it's not like they haven't done this to every single franchise in the known universe. There aren't any untouchable franchises, I don't think. Really, I mean, you could say that Star Wars has had revamps. They've had on 2 occasions had 2. Yes, they're in the same universe, but they're completely, not even recognizable.
Is that
the original trilogy?
Are episodes 4, 5, and 6 unrebootable? Could you ever imagine an episode 4 remake?
Well, yeah, I can, because time is all it takes for films to kind of maybe. You see, the thing with Star Wars as well is that Lucas kept going back to them and kind of adding to those originals. So doing better CGI and all this kind of stuff. And I say better, I use that term very loosely in the way that you've got this kind of gross CGI thrown over the top of, really solid for the time practical effects.
Am I right in thinking that you can't get on a stream or a DVD or Blu-ray the original theatrical release?
I believe that's correct, yeah. I think the original, the very, very original theatrical release is only alive in...
I've got the VHSs. I'm looking at them here. I've got VHS widescreens.
I think because I had not the original. I had when they first brought out the VHS trilogy.
Wait a minute, I'm going to get. Go on, carry on. I'm just walking over here a second.
When they first brought out the VHS trilogy, ages back, shortly after Return of the Jedi. I say shortly after Return of the Jedi. It was probably years after Return of the Jedi, and I remember having that, and I know that they're not. It's not like the original kind of movie version. I do actually have A New Hope on MP4 on my computer, which I believe is the original cut of the movie. Which again, I've got that. Sorry, you just sent me that black box set, didn't you? The special edition box set. I have that, but they had added all of the bloody things at that point, hadn't they? They'd added all.
That's the VHS versions of when his first tweaks of CGI, and I'm sending you another picture. I've got these VHSs, which are the VHSs pre-special edition.
Yeah.
So these I have got the theatrical releases. Yeah.
I think, it just got out of hand. Excuse me. It kind of just got out of hand because he kept releasing new versions every couple of years. There'd be new editions, and this has been improved. Jabba was improved 6 times or something stupid, 3 or 4 times. And you're just thinking, oh, God's sake, just let that live as it is. But because that was done, I feel like he was almost protecting it from being like rebooted completely, which I think was possibly crossed his mind at some point.
For me, a lot of the killers are the change to dialogue. So even things where Han's in the Sarlacc pit.
When the
Lando's got the gun, and he's like, "Hey, wait! I thought you were blind." And he says, "It's all right, trust me." And it's been redubbed as, "It's all right, I can see a lot better now."
Don't move, Lando! Oh, wait, I thought you were blind! It's all right, I can see a lot better. Don't move! A little higher! A little higher!
I know.
I mean,
and
what is that all about?
Not just that, but what about the newest change to the originals that are on Disney Plus, where Greedo says McClunky?
What?
Yeah, Oscar.
Yes, I bet you have.
McClunky.
Have you not heard that yet?
No.
Oh my god, it went around the internet for ages when this happened. When Disney Plus dropped, they brought out obviously they put the original movies on there too. Yeah. And when
I think we get it in the UK on the 24th of March.
Yeah, but it was this was global news. This was this was everywhere. There were memes and everything. Just type in McClunky into Google and you'll see what I'm talking about. But like all of a sudden, I was watching the movie and I heard it, and I kind of twigged it, but just thought, oh, that's something I've never really noticed before in the film. It's just before he gets shot, he just yells McClunky, and it's like, what? And then it's like McClunky, and then if you watch it again, you're kind of like, holy shit. What? Why did they do that? Like, I have no idea. I still have no clue why they added that for this release on Disney Plus. It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's enough Star Wars chat. We're here for G.I. Joe chat, specifically G.I. Joe comic talk.
Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa. Comic talk, oh, comic talk. Larry Hama writes them, Chief and Chris discuss them, whoa.
That took a while, didn't it?
Yeah. So let's look at the covers first of all. 167.
Seduction.
So we got the A cover is by S.L. Gallant, and it's Baroness kind of on a rug.
At least she's covered up though. There's only like little bits and pieces
in front of the fireplace.
I like that she's laying on a snow serpent jacket and helmet. Yes. I think that's amazing. And did you notice the three characters in the fireplace? You've got
no, because I've got actually cover B on my issue, so I've only got the small insert of A on the inside cover. So
there's a Cobra Commander. There's a Cobra Commander mask in the middle that kind of acts as a keystone for the fireplace.
Yeah.
And then either side, you've got Firefly on the left and Crytsal Ball on the right, holding up the plinths.
Okay.
Which I think is really cute. In any case, just noticed that. Yeah.
I've actually got cover B by Ron Wagner, it's a really nice one actually.
Waggle.
Crytsal Ball with Firefly.
Yes,
looking
Iceberg.
At Iceberg. Yep, in the Crytsal Ball.
Have you ever seen a Rise Serpentor Arise?
Yes.
Have you ever noticed the white iceberg things that happen in that?
No.
So when they zip over to wherever it is, like the Arctic Circle or North Pole or whatever, and I can't remember where they are, and Duke is there and he's talking about the fact that his drink's turned into a popsicle. Right. Do you remember that bit?
Possibly.
Okay, well, yeah, it's been a while. So anyway, when he kind of turns over and his coffee comes out and it's a popsicle, they zoom in on him, and next to him is Iceberg, who's been black literally the previous scene, is white now.
And
then when they're on the Tomahawk and they're flying through Cobra Island, and all of the Vipers are kind of like chasing the Tomahawk, which has kind of had some damage and it's about to crash. Iceberg is out the back of out the side of the Tomahawk shooting at the Dreadnoks, and he's white there as well. It's like white Iceberg, Twiceberg.
Yeah, nice. Well, not nice.
Keep an eye out for that if you're watching the Rise of Serpentor Rise again.
Okay. Cover of 168, main cover by S.L. Gallant. Again, I don't have this one. I've just got the small insert, but it looks really cool. It looks like sort of snow serpents.
Yeah, it's Blizzard sneaking up on a snow serpent. He's taking a few out in the background. There's one also like in the background behind the glass, kind of, he's supposed to be on security detail or something. He's just kind of sitting back, chilling out as if he's like falling asleep or something. And then along this walkway that Blizzard's kind of creeping up to this snow serpent, there are two snow serpents behind him that are on the deck. So he's taking them out, silently, shall we say.
I've got cover B, which on the insert inside the cover it says cover B by Herb Trimpe, but on the cover itself it says cover by Ron Wagner.
Yeah,
So
weird.
this is Firefly and Crytsal Ball again.
Crytsal Ball's eyes look weird.
Yeah, not quite as good as the previous cover, I don't think, of
No.
Crytsal Ball and Firefly, but
No.
you know, they're in the issue, so I guess it's, you know, fair
game.
So we're going to do 167, 168. What we should do now is do a quick recap of last time on G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Cobra's assault on G.I. Joe's HQ proved unsuccessful, but although the assault failed, Destro and Zartan's plan to free the Baroness from the Joes worked. Destro and Baroness flew back to Barocca Beach, Cobra's temporary headquarters, and boarded a submarine against Cobra Commander's wishes. When Shipwreck and his crew of maritime G.I. Joes got involved, a full-out battle broke out as Cobra Mores assaulted both Destro and the Joes. When the smoke cleared, the Joes lived to fight another day, and Destro set course for his homeland of Scotland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nicicles.
So these couple of issues cover multiple things. Destro, like you said, they're going back to Scotland and then coming back to New York because he's pissed off with Cobra Commander. The Joes, there's a big Joe force in the Arctic, or a small Joe force in the Arctic, uncovering secret goings-on.
North Pole.
What did I say?
North
Arctic.
Polar ice cap is where they're at.
Yeah, okay, yeah, fair dues. That's correct. And then you've got Crytsal Ball and Firefly assaulting the... What was the building? It wasn't the Empire State Building, was it?
Chrysler, I want to say.
Chrysler Building, and stuff goes on there. But we'll take you through what happens if you haven't read the issues. Starts out with, you know, this nice Joe snow force or cold specialists.
Yeah, I like the callbacks here because obviously this is completely direct relation to that issue 2 of A Real American Hero. So that whole Panic at the North Pole story where, you know, we get introduced to Quinn. We have what effectively was the Russians playing kind of tricks on the US by beaming out these low frequency, I suppose, waves, like manipulation waves to kind of make them uneasy and paranoid and so on and so forth. Which then got
kind of, Cobra took hold of that kind of ploy, didn't it, for the terradromes?
Exactly. And then obviously that's what Larry's kind of harking back to now in this. And they even mention it, you know, Cold Front even says, this is the place where the Soviets were experimenting, yada, 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 yada.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now of these characters, everyone, he does a first page name check. Everyone calls out someone else's name just to let you know who's involved. So someone name checks Blizzard and Iceberg and Cold Front.
Frostbite and Blizzard.
I don't know who Cold Front is.
Cold Front's the driver of that avalanche.
Right, got it. Okay. And in that very first speech bubble on the whole page, he says, we can't pick up the IR signature from the Snowcat, and there's no W in the snow.
Yeah, I wonder if that is down to them change. I'm not aware of any changes to Snowcat in the toys having to change to that, but
well, no, because later on in the issue, he actually calls it Snowcat with a W.
That's weird. Then I don't know what. It must be a typo then in that case.
Yeah, no, but it's good stuff. They come across and the reason we find out later, the reason they're there is because Colonel Joe Colton, or is he General Joe Colton, whatever his rank is, his special pulse rapid beam projector thingy, that whole setup, they've noticed that there's some rogue stealth satellites in the sky, and they've worked out that if those satellites were to open up all their sensor arrays, the place they'd be pointing to would be this former Russian base, which is why this team has been sent out there to investigate that.
Correct.
So it's really nice because at the beginning they kind of put it under the guise of we've been sent out here to do some, you know, recon or whatever, but then later on as these two issues progress, you actually get background as to what led them out there, which is quite nice story progression.
Yeah, loving the art in this as well. But what I would say is there's a really cute bit where Cold Front is asked to access the Joe database, and so he flips open the laptop. And instead of like an apple, or usually they have a star lit up on the back, he's got like a little like bomb with a little kind of, you know, like the fuse is lit on it kind of thing. Very cute.
The fuse is lit and I'm about to go boom!
Speaking about the art here, creative team, obviously Larry Harmer's writing, S.L. Gallant is artist, inkers Gary Erskine, and colours are by Jay Brown for this issue. And let me just have a quick check to see what the second one is. Exactly the same crew, so...
Sweet.
Yeah, art is really nice. I thought that into the second issue, you know, we'll discuss when we maybe get to it, I felt it was a little bit darker and maybe a bit heavier-handed with the art. But when I come across some panels and pages, I'll try and reference that.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, especially when Blizzard turns up. There's like a real
it just looks
thickness.
a little bit kind of, everything has got thicker black lines and everything's a little bit more, I don't know, darker.
I think there was a rush getting this one out, the second issue out, to be honest. But anyway, we'll come to that in a second.
Yeah, so the Joes are suddenly, they thought, okay, there's snow serpents in the area, but then suddenly they are surrounded. So it was almost like a set up a trap.
And I love that cobra
there were just
wolf.
cobras around, and they set off some kind of sensor arrays, the Joes, and so the cobras are there. And then we move a little bit over to Scotland, and this really kind of harkened back to some of those issues. I think it was maybe in the late 60s or 70s, whenever it was, of the Marvel
the numbers,
run.
Not the years.
Yeah. When Destro was back in Castle Destro, and he's got all his crew properly uniformed up in kilts.
Yeah.
And
Sergeant Major, Razorbacks,
Sergeant looking the part, and I love all that kind of stuff, and it's back on those lines, which is really cool.
Yeah, big time. And Sergeant Major I really like as well as a character. He's like, I like Destro in that there's this weird honourable streak that kind of runs through him and his organisation, yet he deals with some of the world's worst, and sometimes he's evil and sometimes he's kind of like, you can't hate him, and then sometimes you kind of think, well, I have to. It's like there's a weird thing with Destro. And I don't think he's never been fully fleshed out as a character to me, in that this is who he is.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like,
I think there potentially was that arc in the Action Force, wasn't there? Weekly, where he loses his memory and stuff, where he takes centre stage and gets quite a lot of characterization. But in actual G.I. Joe Real American Hero, I think you're right, actually. I think for a character that's had that much page time, I think you're right.
I don't mean his character hasn't been developed. I mean, like, I just don't know who he is, whether he's... And you don't have to be one or the other, but I feel like that you could... I don't know, it's odd that it's like just how he feels on the day. Do you know what I mean? Like, the whole thing with him being pissed off with Cobra Commander, that isn't necessarily a good trait.
No.
He's kind of like
what they used to call in wrestling. He's like a tweener. So he's not a face, he's not a heel. He's kind of straddling the line.
Yeah, that sounds hideous. But yeah, he does sound like a tweener.
But Cobra Commander is pissed off because Destro's buggered off in the sub with the Baroness. So he is effectively pulling all the contracts from Mars.
Yeah.
And signed up with someone new, which we'll find out later who that is, returned from the past. And Destro has got kind of tracking chips in all the goods that he's sold Cobra Commander. So he's like, activate all these chips. We want to find out, what's going on. So, I mean, I don't really know what at this stage, you don't really know what Destro's plan is.
No, that's the other thing. He's almost like Merklin from the Visionaries. You never know what his bloody agenda is. Like, you don't know what it is.
I still don't think we find out at the end of these two issues, do we?
No, we don't. We never find out what Destro's going to be, because they have to keep him in a certain place. And if he veers too much to the good side, then he becomes a good guy. If he veers too much to the bad side, he becomes a bad guy. So they keep him in this kind of area, I think, to make him that, like you say, the tweener. Yeah. But then we go back to Manhattan at that point.
We go to Manhattan. There's not much happens there. It's reintroducing of Joe and Jane and this super pulsar weapon thing they've got.
Mainframe's trying to calibrate it, isn't he?
That's it, yeah. For me, it starts getting interesting when we get Crytsal Ball. And it just says somewhere in the southern United States, and this is my favourite bit of dialogue from this issue, he's in some building which just says psychic on the front window. And he's in this ramshackle place with some larger lady who's obviously trying to get some kind of reading or fortune told. And his line is, I tell it like it is, lady. I'm no mere charlatan. Actually, no, it's Firefly who says it. Get out. You don't have a future, you pathetic cow. You only have a tomorrow full of regret and unfulfilled promises.
I mean, he's got a point.
Yeah,
literally, because he comes out with a knife.
Yeah, and then that's it. Yeah, so I don't know how these two hooked up. These two, Firefly, back in his camo, which is nice. And then
it's nice to
Crytsal
see
Ball.
him, yeah. It's nice to see both of them, actually, because, I mean, you get... What's happening here is obviously Firefly wants to utilise Crytsal Ball's very interesting kind of special abilities in effectively seeing the future.
And a couple of points there. Number one, or three things. Number one, Crytsal Ball. Had he showed up? I think he had showed up in one Special Missions, hadn't he, before?
Yeah, he was in that one with the baseball.
That's it.
Wasn't he?
I think, yeah, possibly, or not in the sewers, was he? No, in the baseball one, I think.
I think he was in the baseball one.
I think he had one appearance, possibly. So it's interesting that Larry's decided to bring him back. Secondly, what's the deal with his psychic abilities where he can see short-term future? Is that just accepted that he's got some kind of...
Well, it was in his file card as well. There was talk of that, like hinted at his abilities in that sense. Okay. So yeah, it's known, I suppose. Yeah. And
thirdly, I think you're about to explain it, and I cut you off. What's Firefly's plan? Why are these two hooking up?
So yeah, well, that's what I said, to utilise his abilities to see the short-term future, because they're about to.
Yeah, but to do what?
Well, have you not read ahead?
Yeah, because they obviously end up assaulting the Chrysler building. But what was their mission?
Well, he has to break into the Chrysler building. The whole point is, on Cobra Commander's behalf, they want to get this weapon that the Joes have, or they want to prevent the weapon that the Joes have from being utilised. So they know about it. Destro knows about it.
And they're sending in these two clowns plus the Night Creepers.
And the Night Creepers, yeah. So Firefly is kind of going, well, I've got to get in this building somehow, and I've got the Night Creepers to help with the assault, the frontal assault, but we need to kind of sneak in to give them a doorway in, shall we say. So to sneak in, he needs to utilise those abilities from Crytsal Ball to see into the short-term future.
Yeah. But they're trying to I couldn't work out what they're actually physically trying to steal.
It's not stealing necessarily. It's Firefly. He blows up.
Right, okay, he's just going to.
So he's going into either destroy what the Joes are doing up there, or to recon, to get the information, to take what they need from that place. It is what it is. It's a mission to the top of the Chrysler building.
Here we go. Now this is what I'm talking about. When I'm turning a few pages, we're in the Arctic. There's a couple of nice Arctic pages. Then the next couple, it's kind of like a bit thick, heavy inks.
Yeah,
really,
seriously, yeah. No, it's odd, isn't it, that happens? Yeah. I think there was a push for time, in all honesty, and I think that is because if you literally scan between the two double pages, and the Cobra Wolf on that second page is really thick lines all over it, and you're thinking, why? It's not necessary.
Yeah, I mean, this is good Arctic action. This is the Joes have been captured except for Blizzard. He's like a one-man Rambo, picking off the bad guys one by one. It's good action. It's good quality stuff.
I love it. And Blizzard's one of my favourite characters as well. I thought he was always really cool. The toy's really cool, but we might hear about that later. And what something else I really enjoy about it is this thing of he's the, what's the word? He's like the monkey in the
monkey in the wrench,
spanner in the works, or he's the guy. He's the diehard at the moment. Yeah. He's McLean, and they're not aware that he's a problem, and the other Joes are thinking, well, he's got to be out here, he's got to know what's going on, he's got to be following us, and then we find out later that was the case. Thoughts
on Darklon resurfacing as the man who is the Cobra Commander's go-to arms supplier now?
Yeah, that is interesting, and again, I think it's quite interesting in that I did kind of expect, in the way that Sneak Peek was brought back in a bad way, and then Larry had to then kind of retcon him in, and we'll find that out very shortly, actually, in the next couple of issues, how he retcons Sneak Peek back into the fray. Yeah. With Darklon, I feel like it's more of I wish I'd done more with Darklon, so I'm just going to do more with Darklon, and then we can just say that he didn't die and make that clear at the beginning, as opposed to bring him back, and then everyone goes...
Well, was he ever presumed... I mean, Destro says here, Darklon, he's dead, buried in the rubble of his castle after I ordered a missile strike on it. Was he ever actually...
There was no confirmation. There was only... I remember in the issue very distinctly, they just fired a missile where he was. He was standing in his room in the top of that castle.
I can't even remember the issue.
The missile hits pretty much bang on, and you just thought, yep, he's dead. Because it's there's hardly any time to react. It's oh, there's a missile coming, and bang, it takes out the whole castle. So you just, you assume he's dead in that sense, but I never thought for a second that he was fully dead.
Yeah.
I just thought he'll be coming back. So I think this is an easier return for Larry than the Sneak Peek one. When you see the retcon he does for Sneak Peek, you're like, what?
Okay. Another question from me, as standard. Chief doesn't understand it. Why are they moving the pit?
To throw Cobra off.
Why do they think that Cobra still think the pit is where they thought it was.
I guess it's just keep them on their toes.
Right, okay. All right, that's fine.
That's all
just
I
like a
can
random
really...
movement, is it?
Yeah.
All right. And lastly, for this issue, there's a bit right at the end of the issue, the last panel, Scarlet says, and they're talking about Blizzard, he sent a code to say that he's, out there, he sent a sentence saying, cold front sweeping off iceberg may cause blizzard conditions and frostbite. So he's named all the Joes in his kind of...
In his YouTube
in
video.
his communique, yeah. But at the end, so they're like, Blizzard's on the case. Scarlet says, nobody ever liked Blizzard all that much. Where did that come from? She just absolutely slagged this guy's a she's saying.
Blizzard must have used a satellite bounce and then routed the signal through numerous cutouts before a remote site did the actual posting. An admirable job of avoiding the commo channels that Cobra might be monitoring. Nobody ever liked Blizzard all that much. He does his job, Scarlet. That's all that counts.
Yeah. What's her beef with Blizzard? Is there something we don't know behind the scenes?
I think that's Larry saying that out loud. I don't think it's Scarlet. I think Larry's saying, I never liked Blizzard.
Right. I think Scarlet and Blizzard were having a thing, and then he did the dirty on her, and so now she's like, none of this jerk. Anyway. Right, so, brilliant. On this second page of the next issue, we get Cobra Commander back on his tuk-tuk.
Yay!
With his bicycle driver, and your Televiper with the mobile phone again.
It's quite, I think it's quite brutal that the Cobra forces are dragging the Joes by their wrists behind them in the snow on foot. But yeah, the tuk-tuk's adorable, and we get to see the Televiper running by the side of it the whole time with his phone showing him what's going on.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is where, you get a bit of Crytsal Ball as well in the sewers, where he's predicting what's going to happen. He's klaxons, sirens, flashing lights.
And sirens, yeah.
And this is kind of, I think Larry's taking the piss a little bit here, because he's getting Crytsal Ball to see the short-term future, which is kind of generally obvious stuff that's going to happen when you're breaking into a high-security place. You're going to get klaxons, sirens, and flashing lights. And then Firefly's like, let's just see what the fibre optics reveal. And he's like, actually, I'll trust to actual, science and, electrical devices, rather than having to rely on your stupid psychic ability.
Kind of pointless that he brought him in the first place, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very similar kind of stuff going on in this issue. You're kind of, zipping about back and forth to all these different places, and we're seeing the development of the story very slowly.
I think it works well, though. I think we had one previously. Was it where there was an aerial battle and something else going on at the same time? And I think I commented that
we just wanted the aerial battle, didn't we?
I think zipping between the two hurt it a little bit. Here, we've almost got 3 locations, but for me, it works. This is, it's a similar scenario, but it works really well.
Yeah, they're all moving at a similar pace. They're all going towards effectively the same place as well, aren't they? Everyone's
and I guess
kind
they're
of aiming
all slightly
in the same
interconnected.
direction.
So when you see the Joes and Colton in the Chrysler building, that's directly relating to another storyline that's happening, and the Arctic stuff's directly related to the pit stuff. So and here he is. I've turned the page, and here's your man. Sneaky peeky. So
is this because Dusty turns up?
Is this because, like you pointed out in the previous issue, Sneak Peek appeared in a few panels? I don't think he said anything, did he? But he just appeared.
Yeah, he said a couple of things, but he was with Spirit when they were doing the recon and everything. And,
that's right. Yeah, and so now, obviously, I can only imagine there were tons of letters and editorial on Larry's case saying, "What the hell are you doing? You better fix this."
Yeah.
So Dusty confronts Sneak Peek because they were together in Benzine when Sneak Peek
carried him. Dusty carried him, didn't he?
Dusty carried the dead body, and
told his mum and dad.
And Sneak Peek's acting like a right here. Dusty's like, "I want an explanation. If I told you, I'd have to kill you. I'm sorry,
Lols.
Dusty. You don't have a need to know."
Obviously, this is a serious situation for him, and he can't tell him, but he doesn't have to be such an asshole about it, does he, really?
Well, why can't he tell him? I don't know, because I can't remember these stories. So I'm taking it this gets fleshed out.
Yeah. There's a huge retcon as to what's been going on, and it's because he was in deep cover, so he can't tell Dusty what the situation is until all of that has been like debriefed and sorted.
I'll look forward to that. Yeah. And then what I spotted on the next page is, and you get very little of this. I'm struggling to pick out examples, but Blizzard has come up behind one of these wolf drivers and stabbed him in the Ice Viper, stabbed him in the neck or the back, and there's big blood splatters. And I can't remember many other scenes in the comic and the G.I. Joe comic that have actually shown blood.
No, but this A Real American Hero series does start to get more and more brutal as you go, and by the time you catch up, you'll be like, wow, like
Really?
it gets super brutal. Like,
Okay.
you know, Larry doesn't cut any corners anymore, and the art is always like very, you know, violent and very kind of, yeah, they don't like, you know, leave up to the imagination as much. So this is just a precursor to that, really.
Yeah. And another explanation required for Chief. Destro and Baroness are in is that a Raven? Night Raven?
Night Raven, yep.
They're flying to New York, are they?
Yep.
For what? Who's in New York?
Well, they're flying to New York because he even says it. Like, he mentions it in the previous issue when they're discussing and talking. He says, it's a hostile and unforgiving, yada, yada, yada. And then he points at the Chrysler building on the screen and says, that's their whole card. What's up in the top floors of this skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan? So they kind of, you know, he mentions it, talks about it. And then at the end, he says, I have a lot to ponder.
Yeah,
So,
I don't get it because his beef is with Cobra Commander. So I don't know. I don't get why he's going to the Chrysler building anyway.
well, he's already, I mean, he's already been to Brocker Beach. He could have dealt with whatever he was pissed off with Cobra Commander then. So he's not going to go back to Brocker Beach. Instead, he's going to go to New York and he's going to survey the situation in Midtown Manhattan and eye up what the problem is going down with the G.I. Joe team, what their threat level is, etc., etc. That's what I gauge from it. It's just he's going there to follow up on this information that he's got gathered. So to me, it's just a natural progression in he's done the Cobra thing and he's left that situation. Now he's going to New York and he's going to see what the whole fuss is about. Why is Cobra doing this? Plus he's pissed off at Cobra. So to stop them doing to stop Cobra doing what they're doing, which in effect is attacking G.I. Joe and trying to, you know, again, that's information he's aware of. He's going to try and stop it.
Yeah. Okay. Well done. More Arctic action here. Loads of stuff blowing up. Blizzard has managed to free the other Joes. Just laying the smack down. More heavy inking.
I do like that move where he skis up on that kind of curved ice bit, does a backflip, and then like braps them on the Cobra Wolf.
Right up.
It's well cool.
Yeah, just more solid action there, and then we see Firefly and Crytsal Ball coming up the stairs. Night Creepers are starting to take over.
The Night Creepers are actually getting the helicopters they're in a different place. They're at Manhattan tours, or helicopter tours.
Yes.
And they're nicking the helicopters so that they can start their assault on the Chrysler building.
Yeah. And importantly, Dusty is bringing black coffees with creamer on the side.
I like how they've made such a big deal out of the coffee, and then Duke's like, drink it down and stand by your stations as soon as as if like, you know,
this is
it's
it.
just coffee, mate. You can have a coffee while you're dealing with your in your office.
Regarding those Night Creepers who are in these Manhattan Sky Tours choppers, there's a nice bit with Destro, and he says those two helicopters. They're not following the flight plan pre-registered by their company with the Port Authority and the FAA. And now I see why. It's a raiding party of Night Creepers.
He knows some stuff,
Brilliant.
doesn't he? It's amazing.
Brilliant.
I love how they just draw this stuff out in movies and TV and comics where it's like, do you remember in like Die Hard with a Vengeance when they're driving, they're in the car and they're trying to get to the next spot, but they have to get like an ambulance to cut their way through the traffic. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And the way he is trawling off roads and like where the hospitals are and all this kind of stuff, I'm thinking, what the a taxi driver in your spare time? There is no way you can know all that information about anything. Like, it just always makes me laugh, that. And I love that movie, by the way. But I just always find that funny in films. They trawl out this info that is like, I don't know, super. Like, and just the same thing here with Destro, like, as if you'd know the flight plan for that company's helicopters.
Brilliant. Crytsal Ball has done some hypnotising action with his kind of shield thing.
Yeah,
and
his hypno
making
shield.
Everyone view him and Firefly as Joe and Jane.
That was really, really funny.
Which is nice, good stuff. And then kind of the issue ends. The last couple of pages, they've called in wherever they are in the Arctic, whatever.
Can you see Firefly's celebration? Can you see Firefly's celebration when he tells him that they're
I love it when everything goes right. That one.
How funny is that? And he's doing like a
It's like a
leg
fist
up
pump with knees up Mother Brown. Yeah, brilliant. That was nice.
Amazing.
That was nice. And yeah, basically this airstrike thingy, this pulsar Doppler laser thing, pulse cannon, has blasted all these cobras up in the snow wastes, and the Joes have escaped on a wolf. And meanwhile, Firefly and Crytsal Ball have been abandoned by the Night Creepers, and they need to now break out effectively.
Yeah, they need to get out of there. They need to shoot their way or fight their way out, as Firefly says. And then, we're left at that last panel with Joe, Mainframe, and Jane kind of going, all right, let's get those two losers downstairs.
So, have you knowledge of, or have you read ahead? Is that considered a 2-issue arc, or does the next one? It feels like the next one's going to continue where we left off there.
Well, this is
or
the
does
thing.
It go a separate direction?
They all seem to do that. Like all the issue, there's no like real significant. That's the end of this arc. Kind of. That's the end of that chapter. Kind of job, because there's stuff that happens in in the next issue. There's like a very minor element of the Snow Joes getting clearance and landing in a different place with the captured Cobra Wolf and some of the troopers.
Yeah.
But also, Crytsal Ball and Firefly are still trapped in, and they have to get out, and they go through the process of what they're doing. But then also at the same time, another story starts where Snake Eyes, the Arashikage guys, start kind of coming back into it again. So it's difficult to say this is a clear cut onto the next thing, because they overlap and intertwine each time.
All right, well, we don't necessarily have to rank it. We can just when we get an isolated story, we can always rank it then.
I think it's quite clean enough to
All right,
do a Yo-Joage for these two.
What do you what are you going in with?
Again, love seeing Arctic Joes. It's just, and again, like we're seeing like kind of this, we're seeing the roster, the G.I. Joe roster really being utilised here. We're seeing new characters brought in every issue almost. And that's something that I just really, really adore. So that's always great. I thought, again, it was paced really nice. I enjoyed it. The winter stuff's the North Pole stuff's really fun. There's a nice throwback to the old school with the Quinn story and all that kind of jazz. So, I really like it and don't have any major issues with it. So I'm going to give it a solid mid-7.
Yep, I think I'm probably in the same boat there. It's either a low 7 or a mid-7, but like you said, I've got no qualms with it. It's all good, fast-paced action.
I was at low 7 until I saw Firefly celebrating again, and then it bumped up to a mid-7.
Done. I'm doing the same, mid-7.
And now I can just see him celebrating again.
Yeah. So what was that? Was that 166 and 167? Let me have a look. 167, 168.
7, 8. Yeah.
So
7,
next
8.
week we'll do 169 and 170.
All right, they're numbers.
Yeah. You hinted at what you might be discussing now. So let's find out if you were lying, if you were actually telling the truth, because it's time for you to talk toys.
Chris talks about toys, ho ho. Chris talks about G.I. Joe. He talks about all the things from the comic book and the animated show. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys. Chris talks about toys.
Of course I was telling the truth. It's Blizzard, motherfuckers. So Blizzard. Oh, what can I say about Blizzard other than it's just the most amazing figure ever? And also not. No, it is. It's great. I love him. So let's kind of get into some history of this bad boy. Now, I'll talk about the US release first, but in the UK, there's kind of like a confusion as to when the figure comes out, because I have heard in different places 2 different years, and I'm going to go with what I think, and then we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, Blizzard version 1, Arctic Attack Soldier, G.I. Joe, a real American hero, was released in 1988, and he was just the coolest figure ever. So what you got with this particular figure, one, was an absolute shit ton of accessories, but also the design and the card art and all of those different factors. This is one of those figures where all of those combinations of factors come together to make something really special, in my opinion. You can tell me it's and it's a crap figure, that's up to you, but it's not. In my opinion, I think he's amazing. So in terms of design, he is actually really, really cool and very original looking. So the problem I think a lot of the designers had back in the day with Arctic figures and the kind of, the winter operations guys, was that you're always dealing with just white. And when you just have just all white, it makes it very difficult to actually create and design and make something really interesting. Yep. What they did with Blizzard was just sensationally cool. So he's got like dark grey and brown accents on the kind of gear as well, on his design. He's got little black knee pads, or kind of dark grey-y black knee pads, and these kind of panels on his thighs that are the same colour. The straps that run down the side, and then this kind of like thin kind of detailing down the middle, which is in brown. The brown gloves with these big, like, chunky kind of blocks and stuff on them. Like, they're really cool. He almost looks like a bit of Lego on one of his arms. Another thing that I really love about the action figures that they do are the tampos. And on his left bicep, he's got this kind of like, it's a polar bear with a lightning bolt behind it. And then I guess what would be like the shape of possibly not a state, but when you see like the states shapes in the US, like you'll have like Texas on a badge or something. It kind of looks a bit like that. So maybe it's trying to say the North Pole or something like that behind it. But it's really cool tampo. I don't know too much about it in terms of whether it was copied off an original or like an actual badge. If that is the case, let us know, because I'd love to know that kind of stuff. And I loved all of those kind of stickers and stuff, and I say stickers, tampos and designs of badges and stuff. They're so cool. He does come without a helmet. It's obviously, a removable helmet. So he's got this really awesome head sculpt, very kind of classic square-jawed, like it's kind of like a browny reddish hair color, with obviously the same eyebrows and eye paint as well, the same, and the kind of like. And this on his right bicep, he's got another kind of detail, like a block detail, very similar to the panels on his thighs. So there's a lot going on detail-wise, and his belt's got loads of cool stuff on it as well. So it's like, wow. In terms of accessories, holy shit, this guy is decked out. So he comes with this backpack with 2 removable handles that are like bike handles with like brakes and everything. So it's like, what? And you kind of think, what are those for? 2 skis that obviously can go on his feet or are actually attached to his backpack, and 2 ice shoes, which also can be affixed on his feet. And I think you can put them on his backpack as well. He's got a pistol with wrapping on it, which is really cool. It's cast in white plastic, but it's got this kind of wrapping effect on it, as if it's keeping it warm. Yep. And the same for his rifle, which has got the same kind of deal going on as well. Really kind of cool futuristic looking rifle as well, but very, very awesome. He's got a very a massive helmet, which is like a half helmet, which sits like almost like do you remember in Mask, do you remember Buddy Hawks had this very similar helmet where it's like the visor and it sits just over his head, but you can see the bottom of his mouth? Do you remember that in Mask? Yeah. Again, you can correct me if it's Dusty Hayes I'm thinking about, but I think it's Buddy Hawks who had that kind of half helmet. And it's very similar to that. It's a little bit oversized. That's the only thing I would say about this toy, is that the helmet is a little bit too big for the figure. But at the same time, he still looks really cool all geared up. Now, the actual figure comes with instructions on the bubble, where the figure would sit on the bubble. There was like a little bit of blue colouring on the card that would show that's where the figure goes, that's where the bubble goes. Okay. And on that bit of card was instructions on how to use his backpack. And the backpack is effectively doubles as not only a backpack and a carrying system for his skis, but also you put the skis on and it becomes like this little mini vehicle, almost like a luge kind of thing with skis on it. It's really neat. So that's what the handles are there for, effectively, which I always thought was a weird like aesthetic choice, even though that's what they're for. It does look very odd, but again, really cool at the same time. Yeah, so that was the US version. Obviously, I will read his card out in a second, but I'm also going to back it up with what was written on his UK card. So let's quickly flip over to the UK and talk about Blizzard for a second, because in 1988, That's when it's said or that's when it's kind of most people think the figure was released. I actually think it was 89, and there's a mistake has been made here, because I remember getting Blizzard and having no prior knowledge of the character for Christmas in 89, and I got him, Outback, Raptor, and I think Crazy Legs. I got those figures for Christmas, and I remember getting the Action Force Blizzard and just being like, I think this is my new favourite figure of all time. It was just amazing. The card art is the same as the US version. He's on the front of the card. He looks amazing. He's literally as if he's made a jump in his skis, and he's like flying through the air with the rifle and the backpack on show and everything. It's so awesome. And what was really interesting about this was that they changed a lot of the details for the file card as well. And and what I'll do is I'll read out those differences now. So on the US, I'll start reading the US card, and then I'll input the UK version stuff on there too. So file name, Natale Gregory M in the US, or Gregory M Natale. And for the UK, Gottlieb von Trapp.
Nice.
So they decided that this guy was going to be European as opposed to as English or whatever, or any of the British countries. Serial number 432442464, that's the same. Grade E7, that's the same. Birthplace, Wolfboro, New Hampshire in the US. Guess where he was born in Action Force? Whatever you say will be wrong because it was an error.
Okay, go on. I don't know.
So they wrote Leipzig, Austria. Okay, but Leipzig
Germany,
is in Germany. Yeah. Yes, exactly. And
because I've got money on them to win the Champions League.
Well, I have done a ton of research, or tried to, aka 2 minutes on the toilet just before coming on the show, trying to figure out if Austria, that part of Germany, was Austrian at any point, and that it was just like a mistake based on the time period. But I don't think it was. I think it literally is just an error on the card, and they meant to say either somewhere else in Austria or Leipzig in Germany. Now, another interesting point is that I have looked for Leipzigs in Austria as well, and there aren't any. I've tried and failed dramatically, so it just doesn't exist. Anyway, going through to the rest of the card, Blizzard led an experimental security team based at Thule, Greenland for an entire winter. Their objective was to determine what kind of training and conditioning worked best to prepare men for combat in Arctic conditions. They found that training and conditioning had little effect. Only the hardest and meanest men, and I must say that in the UK version they say only the hardest and meanest, they leave men out again, made it through the course, and Blizzard was the hardest and meanest of the bunch. So it's quite interesting. We've had a couple of changes already to the card that I don't think were necessarily necessary. And then the last bit is the Arctic is totally unforgiving. You make one little mistake, you've had it. The cold makes you tired, and being tired makes you careless, and being careless makes you a statistic. Blizzard doesn't make mistakes and doesn't get careless. He wants to make the other guy the statistic. And interestingly enough, they changed that in the UK as well and said, Blizzard doesn't make mistakes and doesn't get careless. He wants to make the other guy's statistics. So it's plural in one and singular in the other, which I think is quite odd. So I don't know why they made those changes to the British one. I do understand why they made the file name and the birthplace changes. I don't understand why they changed the other aspects. But they did, and that's what you get. Another thing I'd like to add on this, a couple of things. Obviously, my dad was based in Thule in Greenland at one stage in his Royal Air Force career. So that was another reason why I really loved this figure. Like I always, when I get those connections, it was like amazing. And had I known that it was an error on the card and it was actually Leipzig in Germany, that would have made it even cooler because I was born in Germany as well. So this figure is just all sorts of awesome. In any case, we got another version in 1991 in the UK, and that is Tiger Force Blizzard.
Now G.I. Joe have Tiger Force. Captured Cobra vehicles repainted and rearmed. Tiger Force showing the colors yellow and black. Hungry to fight and ready to attack. Tiger Paw, Tiger Fly, Tiger Shark, and Tiger Cat are ready for combat. Nobody beats G.I. Joe, the Action Force.
And I cannot wait to post pictures of this bad boy on the Twitter because he is bonkers. So instead of the white uniform, they've gone for a deep, thick yellow colour. Nice. Yes, yellow snow. And he's known as Yellow Snow as a kind of in the fan community, which is quite cute. The central section, which was brown on the other figure, is now orange. That continues around his neck piece, so that is now one piece as opposed to the first version, which was just that central section. It's orange with black tiger stripes, which is just the most glorious thing you'll ever see. And then all the other things are like that kind of, it's like a grey and then black for the gloves. So you got the grey pieces are like the knee pads, the thigh pieces, the straps, and all that kind of stuff. And then the helmet's all that thick yellow with the silver eyes. And then all of the gear is black, bar the pistol and the rifle, which have done in that deep yellow colour again. And again, it's the one change they make to the card. They keep it the same as the the European release, the Action Force release, and they make one change, and that is that they said at the beginning, Blizzard led an experimental security team based at Thule, Greenland, for an entire winter for the Tiger Force team. So I find that quite cute that they've added team twice.
Nice.
In any case, Blizzard version 2, absolutely love him, think he's brilliant, and I even love his Tiger Force version. He's just one of those great figures that just exist in the G.I. Joe universe and doesn't get enough use in the comics, but I love the fact he was in this one. He was in the Nintendo game and he's been in numerous commercials, tons of all other media, and I should also say that he was released in Brazil as well in the Commandos Emacau line as Nevasca, which obviously I believe is Portuguese for Blizzard.
Nice, informative.
As always.
So how many versions have you got?
Well, I have the US version on card. I have the Action Force version loose, which is the original one I had when I was a kid. I have a couple of the Tiger Force versions loose and carded. And I have, obviously, since then, he's been done in the modern era as well. And I would mention all of that too, but I kind of feel like I just wanted to focus on the original figure. But there was a version 2 in 97, which was basically a repaint of I want to say Frostbite. I could be wrong on that one, but it was weird and it wasn't really that great. But then the modern versions of Blizzard, they've done a regular and a Tiger Force version, and I have both of those carded.
Good stuff. More hidden gems next week from Mr. Toy himself, Diagnostic 80. Right now, though, you've confused me there slightly. I want to confuse other people because it's time for British colloquialisms, aka over-egging the pudding.
We got a pudding, we're gonna egg it. We got a pudding, we're gonna over-egg it. We got a pudding, we got no criticisms. That means it's time for some British colloquialisms.
You can go first this time, I think.
Yeah, so my one I kind of kept for this one. It was almost like a what do you call it, I had too many before, so I was like, you know what, I need to kind of keep one for the show. And I was in conversation with my wife the other day, and it was probably about a couple of weeks ago now, and I keep doing it. I say it all the time. It's something I didn't realise I say all the time, and it is all over the shop. And that is often also changed to all over the house, which obviously I did brick the other week as well.
Yep.
So I just wanted to, all over the shop, which just means it's just all over the shop. Yeah. A mess, shall we say.
Yeah, a mess. Someone who's had too much to drink and he's all over the shop. Someone, Deontay Wilder, when he got punched by Tyson Fury a bit too many times, he was all over the shop there. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like it. I use that a lot as well. That's a good, I've never heard all over the house. Never heard that variant.
I just implant other things into saying.
Oh, is that your own one? Is that an original?
Is something I think I've done, yeah, but I'm sure other people have done that.
I sometimes use the variant all over the show.
All over the show's a good one, especially for this one.
We're all over the show here, Jesus. Yeah, my one is, I'm not sure if I've used this one before, but I still use this one. Not many people, I don't think, use it anymore. People tend to use the American variant now in the UK, and when you want to be first for something, in the US, people will say shotgun.
Oh,
and
yeah,
in
nice.
the UK, people will say Bagsy.
Oh, right. Right, I see.
If you want something, you say Bagsy, which means, it's your turn, you'll go, you're first. You Bagsy something.
Brilliant.
Don't know why or what that reference is at, but, I used to use that a lot as a kid, and I've only started using it again recently, but most people kind of say shotgun over here now in the UK. But were you a Bagsy man?
For yourself. I know I've used bag. Well, not really. I think I'm not even sure if it's British.
Okay.
But then again, then again, I do remember it for things like, like when you used to play football.
Yeah.
And you'd say things like "Bagsy not in goal."
Yeah.
That is British. It's got to be, hasn't it?
Yeah.
'Cause I
Bagsy
said that
not
as
in
a
goal
kid.
means that is boring. I do not want to be in goal. I want to be striking.
I want to be up front, mate. I want to be scoring goals. I want to be a hero in this match.
That's like not saying you want to do something. That is Bagsy. I do not want to be doing this.
Yeah. Bagsy not in goal was something I used to hear all the time.
Yeah, and it'd be that
So,
slow.
yeah, you're right.
The
You're
slow
right.
one who didn't say it quick enough. He's like, "F***, I'm in goal again."
Yeah. That would be me.
Yeah. Right. Listen, man. You got to do another podcast in 7 minutes. So let's wrap this up. We'll wrap it up by doing this. We ask you a question. Listeners answer a question posed by us just for you. There's something a question.
You always get the lyrics wrong now. It's brilliant.
Right.
Love it.
We asked you, what is your favourite TV show of all time, and what is your current favourite TV show? As always with questions like this, 50% of people failed to read the question properly or chose to ignore it and listed hundreds rather than what is your current favourite, what is your all-time favourite. So
it's hilarious, isn't it? It's literally just like everyone like literally streamed out like 30 suggestions.
Well, no, it's about 50-50. 50% probably just listed one in each category and 50% thought I'm just going to list them all. So I'm going to read them out. So this is current favourite shows. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Never heard of, never seen.
Oh, it's amazing.
All right, don't even
That's
know what...
the Andy Samberg, Terry Crews, and it's like, they're in New York and they're
Right.
a police department, and it's really funny. It's great.
Action one, is it?
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. All right, okay.
It's hilarious.
Sex Education. Never heard of, never seen. The Outsider.
The Outsider. I don't think I've seen that.
Never heard of. Jack Ryan.
That's good on Amazon Prime.
Is that
It's
the
really
dude from Hunt for Red October?
good. No, it's... Oh, I don't know, actually.
Who's Jack Ryan? He's out of something, isn't he?
Well, Jack Ryan is it's a character that it's like an author job. Like it's like a series of books that have now been turned into.
Is that the guy in Hunt? And then what was the next one? What was the movie after Hunt for Red October?
November.
Jack Ryan,
I have no
Hunt.
idea.
Yeah, it is Hunt for Red October. Yeah, it's the guy Alec Baldwin plays.
Oh, cool.
Tom Clancy.
Is it a Clancy job then?
Yeah.
Is the Jack Ryan a Clancy job?
I think so. Then someone else played him after Baldwin, and then Affleck played him. Affleck played Jack Ryan, didn't he? In what's that one? Sum of All Fears.
Oh wow!
Wasn't that Jack Ryan?
Okay,
And
this is interesting. I wasn't aware of all of this. And
then
Ryan
your man
verse.
Chris Pine played him, didn't he, in a couple of movies?
All I know
Right.
is the Jack Ryan that's just come out with the dude from The Office, who
Right.
the dude from The American Office, who was in like those Quiet Place and Quiet Place 2 and so on and so forth.
Okay.
I forget his name now.
Oh, here you go. Patriot
Kaczynski or
Games.
something?
Patriot Games. Was that Harrison Ford?
Yes.
Yeah. Hunt for Red October. Clear and Present Danger. That was Harrison
Yeah,
Ford.
this is
Sum
like
of All
if you
Fears,
imagine
that was
if you
Affleck.
imagine a reboot of Jack Ryan's character. That's
It's
what
like
this is.
Bond. Every few years they get a different actor to play him. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's interesting, man.
Jack
Didn't
Ryan.
know that they were all the same character. I did not know that. That's really cool.
Goldbergs. Never heard of it.
Yep, that's great. That's like it's a comedy. My mate Adam Riches, who is a comic artist,
Yep.
he's really good friends with the producer of that show,
Okay.
almost like the creator of it, Adam F. Goldberg.
All right.
It's about his life, effectively.
Okay.
And he is this will really float your boat. He used Adam F. Goldberg's likeness on the sneak peek modern G.I. Joe artwork.
No way.
So that sneak peek modern figure that came out, the card art is actually Adam F. Goldberg.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you learn something new every 5 minutes.
Walking Dead. Now, I have heard of that.
Ugh.
I think I watched the first
Boring.
2 episodes of season 1 and didn't continue.
I got up to season 3 or 4, and then I just got fed up with it.
Okay.
So fed up with it.
Picard.
Yeah, that's been good. I've only seen one episode. Really enjoyed it,
Right.
but that's because it was on for free on YouTube.
All right. Line of Duty. That's a BBC That's a BBC show. I think I watched one episode.
I
and
hadn't
was
seen
silly.
it.
I didn't watch anymore. Ozark.
I've heard good things. but I
Heard
haven't
of that.
Seen it.
That's what's his name in it? Jason Bateman, I think.
Yeah, Bateman. Really cool.
Fargo. Never seen.
Yeah, it's, honest as the TV show's actually all right. It's
Right.
just a bit. I get really confused. Well, not confused, but I don't get the premise of this is a true story and it's not a true story.
Right.
Have you ever heard that with Fargo? Like at the beginning, you always see that thing where it says like, "This is a true story."
I've seen the movie, yeah, but I haven't seen the TV show.
And it's not a true story. And it's like, well, why are you telling me that at the beginning? It's such a weird premise.
All right.
But I did enjoy the show. It was quite good.
Ray Donovan, I think I watched one episode and that was
Never
enough
seen
for
it.
me. Homeland, watched the first series, thought it was junk, didn't continue. Mrs. loves it. It's the only fictional TV show my missus watches.
Yep, seen it, but not stayed with it.
Final Space, never heard of.
Never heard of it.
And Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty's amazing.
Yeah. So that was the list of current favourite shows, of which those I have.
What about The Mandalorian, guys?
I've probably only
insanely
seen one or two of those and haven't heard of the majority. Now, here's the all-time favourite, Band of Brothers, suggested by someone we all know.
By me.
Yes. That had quite a few votes as well, so quite a few upticks on that.
Yeah.
Don't think I've seen it.
Sorry?
The Wire, never seen it.
Hang on, you haven't seen Band of Brothers?
No.
Why have you never seen Band of Brothers? It's unreal.
All right,
it's
I might
amazing.
give it a go. The Wire had a lot of votes, never seen it.
I've tried it and I just never got into it.
I tell you what, did have a couple of votes. Cracker, Robbie Coltrane.
Thanks, Dave Reese, for that one.
And someone else as well. Who was it? I think it might have been Phil. I can't remember. But yeah, I have seen a few episodes of Cracker back in the day. And
it was really good.
Yeah.
It was really good.
The Prisoner, never seen.
Never really got into that. Yeah, never got into that.
From Earth to the Moon, never heard of.
Never heard of it.
Spartacus.
It was, yeah. I mean, I watched all of it, but I think it was just down to just being, I don't know.
Right. Didn't even know there was a TV show. Lost. Now that was junk, wasn't it?
It was. I really enjoyed it, but then it got to the point where you realised we're never really going to get answers here. So the ones that you wanted, and then the end.
Yeah, the problem I had is I watched the first season and I was way behind, but there was a guy at work who I was like 2 seasons behind. There was a guy at work who religiously watched it all, and I would come to him every week saying, "Oh, this happened in this episode. Do we ever find a resolution to that, or what happens here?" And everything I asked him, he'd say, "No, you never find that out. You never find that out. You never find that
There's
out."
nothing ever has a resolution.
I'm done then. Forget about it. The most votes was for Sopranos.
I never really got into that either. Like I watched bits and pieces, but never really got drawn in. Yeah,
never seen it. Battlestar Galactica. Now the person didn't specify whether it was the original or the remake.
The remake I started to watch and got really into, and then just fell off it for some reason. I tend to do that. I did it with Game of Thrones as well.
Right, never seen it. Generation Kill. Never heard of.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant.
Okay. What
it's
is
a modern. Well, it's kind of like Afghanistan and like all that kind of stuff. Actually, or is it Gulf War? I think it might be Gulf War era, but it's really, really awesome. Okay. I loved every second of that show.
Breaking Bad had a couple of votes. I think I watched the first half of the first season and just...
We've talked about this in the past.
Interest.
I'm not a fan of that show at all.
Game of Thrones.
I went off it, honestly. I got really bored with it.
Vikings. Never seen.
It's a bit brutal. Watched the first few seasons. It's good stuff, but I don't know. After a while, I had enough,
Yep. Star Trek, Next Generation, DS9, and Voyager.
They were all pretty solid, back in the day.
I think I've maybe seen.
Have you watched anything?
Some of Next. Well, we're concluding here that I do not watch TV shows
ever.
Only Fools and Horses. Now that is a banger.
Absolute classic. Play it cool.
That's all-time top 10 for me. Grimm.
Play it cool, Trig. Play it cool.
Never heard of Grimm. Don't know what that is.
Like a Grimm fairy tales.
Okay, all right, yeah. Crime Story or Crime Stories.
I think I've ever seen it.
V.
Yeah, that was old school, man.
Babylon 5.
Babylon 5 was... I started watching that when it was on and never got into it.
Right. Farscape. Don't know what that is.
It was all right.
Batman Animated.
Yeah, that was amazing.
The original's a banger. Love that.
Yeah.
Magnum P.I. Used to watch that as a kid. That's quality.
Mental.
Sunbow G.I. Joe.
Yeah, that's
one vote.
Brilliant. Was that me?
No.
I tend to go back to G.I. Joe Sunbow quite a lot, though.
Right, okay. MASH.
Yeah.
Mad Men. Never seen.
I've started watching it, and I want to get drawn in, but I can't. So I think I'm going to go bowing out of that one soon.
Seinfeld.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've never seen it.
I know some people that think it's the greatest thing on television, and then other people that think it's Marmite, I think.
Yeah. Entourage. Never
That's
seen
all
it.
right. First season was okay, and the rest of it's a bit garbage.
Eastbound and Down. I think I tried it and didn't particularly like it.
I haven't been able to watch it, but not because I don't want to. It seemed funny.
And the last one on the list is Quantum Leap.
Brilliant.
So
I'm surprised there was no... If we're talking animation, no one mentioned 90s X-Men.
Yep.
No one mentioned things like Mandalorian, which is like brand new and seems to be... is epic. I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
Archer wasn't mentioned. That's a really good kind of cartoon one. Bob's Burgers is amazing. I can't get enough of that. I'm surprised that, but then again, it was only a couple of days worth of trawling, wasn't it?
I mean, I can't particularly speak of what my current favourite TV show is because I don't really watch serialised TV shows. If I'm looking at all time, me personally, I would... apologies, I forget who said it, but I would agree that Quantum Leap is in my top 10, definitely, all time. The A-Team is in my top 10.
Yeah, A-Team, big time.
Cheers is in my top 10.